I'm Sue Ellen. Today I want to talk about depression, and I want to talk about the difference between situational depression and clinical depression. There's oftentimes some real confusion about that. So we all suffer with situational depression, of course, because we love. So when we have a great loss, the loss of a pet, the loss of a family member, a friend, the loss of a job, different stressors can create true sadness, and that's depression. But chemical depression works a bit differently. Chemical depression, we can't always name the why. The why for feeling low, the why for feeling tearful or sad or not wanting to get out of bed or not having any motivation. And that's more of a chemical depression. And I often describe it as when when you have your feelings and you're no longer in charge of your feelings, but they're in charge of you, even when you don't want them to be. They keep you tired and down and make it hard to get out of bed. And it can actually be physically painful. So where does that depression come from? Especially if you can't name it. You know, oftentimes people who suffer chemical depression are often mad at themselves because they don't have anything to be sad about. They can count and recount how great their life is and everything that they're grateful for, and yet can't get out of this funk, if you will. More than a funk, but, well, depression. So, we're going to talk about the brain and where chemical depression comes from. So, a neuron is a nerve cell. Now, I've drawn one. Please look this up on the internet and see what it really looks like. I'm a horrible artist, but I think I can get the idea across. Okay, so this is my little neuron. And we have trillions of these in the brain. Trillions and trillions. We have more neurons than any other cell in our body. It's amazing. So at this end, all of these are what are called the dendrites. This is the nucleus. This longer part is the axon. And then we have these terminal branches. So what happens is that these dendrites get excited, right, from other chemicals from other neurons in the brain. So they get excited. The axon begins to pulsate in this myelin sheath, kind of opens in gaps, and energy starts coming in and flooding. Now, here's what's interesting. Energy only goes one way. It goes from the dendrites to the terminal branches. Now, when it gets down here to these terminal branches, what occurs is that it hits those ends, and in these little pockets at the end are chemicals known as neurotransmitters. We have many neurotransmitters, but we're going to talk about serotonin. Most common neurotransmitter that we try to manipulate when someone suffers with depression. So in these neurotransmitters, all of a sudden, these terminal branches get excited, and they start releasing from these little terminal buttons, I guess, all of this serotonin. And it's out here in the spaces between other neurons. And then they start exciting other neurons' ends, and they release serotonin. Here's what's pretty incredible. We have more neurons than those stars in the universe, and yet none of them are touching. They don't touch each other. They just communicate through these chemicals called neurotransmitters. So when someone is suffering, let me tell you what serotonin also does. Serotonin helps to lay down memory. It helps to focus. It motivates. And so if you don't have enough of it, then you'll hear things like, I can't get motivated, I can't concentrate, I'm weepy, I'm sad, okay? This is because there may not be enough serotonin out here. Now, after this specific neuron releases its serotonin, another apparatus, we'll call it the glial cell, it is the glial cell, it comes out and sweeps it up. Now, obviously I can't erase my marker, but it sweeps up, picks up all that's left out here, and it reabsorbs it back into the cell. And that's called the reuptake. That's the reuptake of serotonin. So when you hear someone prescribe an an SSRI, see, a doctor can't just hand you um, serotonin. The brain won't accept it. But what it can give you is what's called an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And what it does, it turns off that glial cell that's out there sweeping it up and reabsorbing it. So it's leaving it active out here longer. This isn't something you can think away. This isn't something you can focus, meditate, and make happen in your brain. This is naturally happening without our even knowing anything about it. So, most often, it's a genetic component. It's something that often doesn't really show itself until an adulthood, possibly, or earlier. But it's congratulations, here are your genes. You have low serotonin levels. And so that's why oftentimes it may be a lifelong course of medication to keep that neurotransmitter active in the brain. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, please list them below. Thank you. Bye-bye.